Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, family. This is Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS, a shout out show. Hope you're having a groovy day, an exceptional day. It's Thursday. Normally we do Throwback Thursday. And I may apologize. It's been a long week for me. So I know yesterday I was talking that the Throwback Thursday topic, I actually did it on Wednesday about home ownership. Forgive me, it happens. So I'm going to do this topic in place of Throwback Thursday, which I did yesterday. Your boy needs a vacation. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Sometimes it happens. And y'all should know it could happen to me at any time. I can't get the right amount of numbers of shows. So, at some point in time, I was going to get the day wrong. I want to say, please forgive me. I really want to say, don't laugh at your boy. Don't laugh at it. I work hard. And I want to thank everybody that chimed in yesterday on the home ownership show. A very important show for a lot of reasons. So thank you. Our topic today is reimagining interfaith in America. The reason why I'm really bringing this topic up is because we're coming to critical mass in this country where the actions of people are now being predicted upon, in some regards, the fact that they do not see us coming together. And eventually it will come to religious faith. It will become to the foundations of what you believe, when you believe, how you believe, and who you believe it around. Shaping, for lack of a better word, actions, core values, and things of that like. But even more importantly, brothers, this is beginning to affect the body politic. We now have a situation, a scenario, and I can't even get to this topic, but we have a scenario, brothers and sisters, whereby people are bypassing the things that normally give us pause, rationale, reason, in some spaces, common sense. We now have a scenario whereby the country is flush with a lot of positions, a lot of philosophies, a lot of viewpoints, if you will. And I would attribute this in some regards to the fact that we have so much social media. And let me tell something for all you people who are on social media. Just because you have an Instagram account or Facebook account, that does not make you a journalist. Does not make you credible in terms that you can put out positions whereby you cannot, one, support your condition. Number two, you cannot fabricate facts to support your position. You cannot, if you will, put out a half truth, hoping that people accept it as a whole truth. A half truth is a full lie. The idea of journalistic integrity, and I say this, journalistic integrity means that you are going to report the story as it is, present the case, and allow people to develop opinion around it. It is not your job to shape people's opinion. Why am I saying this? Because one of the most basic, not even the most basic, one of the most fundamental pieces in America, around the world, is religious relationships. And I'm looking around the world and I'm looking at the absence of how religious communities work together. Now, I'm going to say a few things about religious interfaith, but I'm also going to put it in the terms of religion, for lack of a better word, has always been in the marketplace. Meaning, as much as we want to work with this religion, work with, everybody would like one more Christian, everybody like one more Muslim, everybody would like one more Jew in their community. Let's just throw it out. We've been in competition for years. That being said, it doesn't change anything, but that being said, it should bring us to a place whereby we look and we say, these are the truth about us. However, let's move that to the side and look at how we can independently and as a group affect community around us. The idea of the community church, the idea of the mosque on the corner, the idea of the synagogue is one of the few things, brothers and sisters, that's held true. That we can go to these foundations of faith and be honest with our God, be honest with our prophets, be honest with ourselves, that we, in some regards, while we may not be bringing forth the best me we could be, there's still a pathway to do that. And that best me, if you will, is the thing that's lacking sometimes. It's lacking in society. It's lacking in politics. It's lacking in some hell, and sometimes it's acting in our own religious community. It is lacking. I say this as a person who's a believer. I'm a man of faith, but I'm also saying as a person who did not grow up Muslim. I grew up Christian, and there are aspects of Christian faith that, in many regards, viewed me to be a Muslim, and I did not thoroughly abandon them. I took what was good and I brought it with me. I took what I understood and appreciated value and I brought it with me. We're not doing it these days. We're not doing that these days. We are putting out what we think is competitive. We're putting out the things we think is most valuable, and putting out the most valuable, we're doing it in a very episodic and myopic way. One of the things about interfaith, brothers and sisters, is interfaith was meant to be a community tool, whereby everybody could cater to their strength, look at the community, and see exactly what's needed, and execute accordingly, and respect one another. I'm going to start the show here, but I'm going to show you what happens when you have an absence of interfaith. We'll be right back. Let's start the show. The Shout Out Show, Preacher Moss. Well, let's not hesitate. Let's go jumping right into it. If you're coming here on the Shout Out Show the first time, God bless you. You're in the right place. You picked a good day to be here. It is technically known as Throwback Thursday, and unless the host forget which day of the week it is, therefore you gotta flip flop them. Sometimes you gotta laugh at yourself. Okay, so if you're coming here for the first time, very simple rules. If you have something to say, get in the comment section, share your thoughts, share your concerns. The only bad thought or concern is one that we don't know about. Okay, you also know that there's a practice here in the Shout Out Show, and it's named for the show that you get a shout out. We let you know that we appreciate you, or if you want to shout out somebody, let us know. Now, the other practice is you have a legion of people who have been here, and I want to say my day ones from day one, brothers and sisters who've been on the Shout Out Show. And you may think I treat them a little different. I treat them a little favoritism, and that would be true. I won't lie. They better know this: the Shout Out Show family, the Shout Out Show soldiers, the stars in the building. I'm not saying you can't be in the star of the building. Of course you can, but these people, they make the show. It's like a particular type of gumbo, if you will, with no pork in it. But it's like a gumbo, and you have different opinions. And we bring things like different aspects of life. People are coming from different countries, the whole nine, and it makes the thing that we're cooking up here in terms of conversation and show that much more delicious. So, without further ado, let me introduce my stars in the building, because we can have one of those topics today. First of all, we got Sister Ree. Sister Ree is checking in. She always checks in, as a matter of fact, no matter where Ree is. At this point in time, she's in Miami. Happy Miami. Stay away from big buildings. Sister Ree, appreciate you coming on the show. Peace and blessing you and the family. For those that don't know, Sister Ree is a dietitian. She's a dietary director. She's in charge of craft services and making sure that the food that is consumed as a part of the Shout Out Show is healthy food to keep the host going. There you go. All right, next up, Staika Walek Maslan Rahmatullahi Barakatuh, coming all the way from Depok, Indonesia. Peace and blessings to you and your family. Keep doing what you do. Be careful of COVID out there. They have a major COVID breakdown out there in Indonesia. They've had to shut things down. So please, social distancing, wash your hands, and wear that mask. All right, next up, Altaf Masheed, my main man. Walaikum assalam rahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And it's good that our Canadian ambassador to the show has a sense of humor. He said, "You're global. It was Thursday somewhere yesterday at this time." That's why I like you. That's why I like you, Atar. He is right. But wrong is wrong, Atar. I talked like yesterday was Throwback Thursday, and I got to the topic. And here's the funny part. I didn't realize till today that today was Thursday. I said, I'll be doggone. It was one of those days. Altaf, thank you for throwing your brother a life raft, a life preserver, if you will, just to pull me into reality, or at least closer to a calendar. God bless you, man. He is our Canadian ambassador, making sure that the quality of this show is good on this side of the border and the Canadian side of the border. Altaf, my man, as always, Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Next up. Why link my salon for 2 hours? What is the shout out show with y'all? Johnny Taylor, Johnny Lee Thomas, JT, my little brother. What is the show without you, man? I appreciate you. You come on the show, you give us a comment, of course. We're family. I mean, we go back, man. We go back as far as go back and go back. But I appreciate you, not so much just coming on the show, but supporting the show, but also giving me ideas. We talk off camera about the ideas and just, these are conversations. Really, the shout out show sometimes is an outgrowth of some of the conversations we've had on long road trips going to God knows what place to go do stand up. But, he is a universal person. I mean, he's a veteran. He served the armed forces. I mean, he's been around for a while, and his scope that he brings to the show, I really appreciate it. Much love, little brother. Next up. Of course, we have our consultant producer, Satana Whitfield, making it happen. If Satana doesn't happen, these hands are occupied. Thank you so much, Sister Satana, for learning the scope of the production piece. Also providing a lot of support and a lot of guidance in terms of mainstreaming and getting organized and things like that. I say this because you did slip yesterday, Sister Satana. You did let me go out and let me think it was Friday. Okay, I'm lying. That is not true. This is what happened. When I had the banner up, she had taken off TBT, Throwback Thursday. She had taken it off and corrected it. I went back and put Throwback Thursday on it and put it all over the screen. While I that was on me. I'm right here. I got a problem. So yeah, that was on me. So let's get to this whole thing before we can even get to reimagining faith, brothers and sisters. Let me show you what we're dealing with in the world. Mama said, Throwback Wednesday. Go and get your shots in, Mom. It's okay. Of course, that's my queen, Mary B. Moss, coming out of the DC, Maryland, Washington metropolitan area. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I hope you're feeling better. Good to see you as well. So I want to deconstruct some things. And the reason I try and do this is I learned from great teachers. I'm not saying I was a great teacher, but I learned from great teachers. And what great teachers do is they teach you about a problem before you run into it. They educate you about a situation before it's right in front of your face. It's part of education, it's part of intuition, it's also part of forecasting, that you see a thing and you try and educate the body of people around you about this thing. And I realize what it is, because if that doesn't happen, you're going to be exposed to some really, really bad information. Am I making my point? A couple weeks ago, I can't remember, we actually did a show on critical race theory. And I painstakingly talked about critical race theory. And I gave a breakdown, and I talked about Derek Bell and Richard Delgado, and I talked about race, just so you know, critical race theory is not being taught in public education. That being said, it behooves you, brothers and sisters, that this argument is being had all over the country. One of the things that are missing right now in our Christian faith traditions, our Muslim faith traditions, and our Jewish faith traditions is that we have not jumped in on the subject matter. We have not framed this. In fact, in the Southern Baptist Convention that was recently held, they railed against critical race theory because they said critical race theory and somehow replaces the dominion of God in the happenings of the world. And if I could drop my jaw any further to hit the floor for you for dramatic effect, I would do so. But that silence leads to noise. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm going to bring it out, and I just want you to listen. We're not going to be on this a whole lot, but I'm going to talk about reimagining faith, but I'm also going to show you what happens when faith or interfaith efforts, interfaith understanding is empty. Here we go.
So these are my babies.
Okay. One thing before we do that, I need to fix the audio. Apologies to everyone, but at least I caught it. There we go. I want to fix the audio. So let's check this out.
All races who have been speaking out against CRT, and rightfully so. These are my babies, not yours. If you are embarrassed or ashamed of your skin color, that's your issue, not mine nor my children.
This is a school board meeting in a suburb of Philadelphia, where a small group of very vocal parents are speaking out against critical race theory, or CRT.
We do not want our children to be taught that America is systemically racist.
600,000 people died in the Civil War to end racism and slavery. Don't rewrite factual history or indoctrinate, just present the facts.
In the wake of protests of the murder of George Floyd, Republican politicians have been hyping critical race theory as a threat to the impressionable minds of America's.
Okay. Let's just stop there for a minute. 600,000 people died to stop racism. That meant that all the Confederate soldiers gave their lives so that Black people could be free and prosper and not be chattel part of the 3/5 a person. They wanted to be 5/5 a person, a whole person. This is what I'm telling you. Let's go back to the fun, and then I'm going to talk about reimagining interfaith. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. And don't teach our children to believe that America is a racist society, but you will allow minority children to suffer in a racist society. You can't make this stuff up.
Children.
Racist. Critical race theory says every white person is a racist. Critical race theory says America is fundamentally racist and irredeemably racist.
In more than 12 states, legislators have proposed bills to ban CRT. We wanted to meet the actual people working with actual kids in actual schools. So we talked to Keziah Ridgway, who teaches high school African American history and discusses CRT in her anthropology class. Can I just start with a very simple, what is critical race theory?
Yes, critical race theory is not being taught in schools. It is a theory, it is a lens by which to view history and the way that law and race kind of overlaps and connects in society. Can it influence the way that some teachers teach? Yeah, but that's a good thing, right? Because race and racism is literally the building blocks of this country. So how can you not talk about it?
Critical race theory is an academic framework that says racial inequality is perpetuated by the racism embedded in America's laws, not by individual bigotry. But relentless propaganda from some conservatives has created a panic that white people, and especially white children, are under attack.
Critical race theory is basically teaching people to hate our country.
Schools are embracing this ideology and forcing white students and white teachers to be ashamed of their own skin color.
It's not critical race theory, it's racism.
These are systemic things. Ignoring it perpetuates the problem. By acknowledging it, we can find solutions and we can address the problems and the inequality that exists in our country. And so
Okay. That was depressing. That was counterfactual in terms of how they talk about critical race theory. And overall, I hate to see people popularizing confusion and lies. I told you what critical race theory was weeks ago. And I did it as a precursor. So I want to give a shout out to all my great teachers, Miss Jones, Mr. Jarman, who taught me, and my drill sergeants, Command Sergeant Major Fisher, Gunny Sergeant Sharp, who taught me about race when you are looking at people that are looking for a structural or a philosophical advantage in a conversation. Now, these were the older heads that told me these things. And shout out to my parents, too. Shout out to my parents, too, a bunch of imams, because you know what? What you're looking at right now, the grand push and what you didn't see in all of those things, brothers and sisters, what you did not see in all of those clips, outside of the sister in hijab, was anything that represented a faith-based perspective on it. And a particular note of Ted Cruz at the Faith and Family conference that they had in June, he actually stood in front of these people and said that. And I wanted you to catch that because in that space, you have a politician speaking to a religious body incorrectly, lying. So our topic today is reimagining faith or reimagining interfaith. And as the Sister Satana and I said, it's really hard to reimagine interfaith if you have no faith. If you have no elasticity for the fact that you could be wrong, you could be in error, then we are in trouble. And in that space, if you are trying to reimagine interfaith, we will fail. Let me say it again. We will fail. And the reasons why we will fail is because we lack the intestinal fortitude to say, hey, that's not correct. Hey, that's a lie. Much the same as I talked about the BET Awards. That if you stay silent long enough, when it comes time for action, people are not going to take you serious. You will not be relevant. If you have to be on the playing field to fight this thing at 10 o'clock on Tuesday and you show up at 10 o'clock on Saturday, chances are you're not going to be effective. Case in point, you can't talk about Throwback Thursday on Wednesday. I digress. But my point here is, as we talk about reimagining interfaith in America, I want you to understand that these are the people who we are working with. That the hysteria that you see will more than impede any kind of conversation you're trying to bring to people if it does not benefit them. And as you begin to revisit it, reimagining interfaith in America will come to a point, brothers and sisters, even in our religious communities, it will come to a point that it mirrors racism, that it mirrors white supremacy, because it's always going to be what white people worry about, the very, very insecure white people. They worry about a zero-sum effect. Again, if a black man has $2, it means I'm minus $2. If he has a car, it means I don't have a car. It's a total discombobulated argument, if you know what I'm saying. However, it's becoming more and more valid. And as you listen more and more from noise from the faith-based communities, it gets quieter and quieter. It gets quieter and quieter. You know, I always say that, you know, with race, race, there's a tone there that's called race. But with faith, there's a different type of level to it, whereby I have to have faith or practice faith with you in your faith. And we don't have that now. And it's quietly under attack. I say reimagining interfaith in America, because I believe in the next 2 years, or heading into the 2024 elections, faith-based management leadership will be awash. in special concerns and lobbies and special interests. It will have less and less to do with God and what God says, and more to do with what the body politic wants at that point in time. Whether it's red meat for the conservatives, whether it's cooked meat for the liberals, it doesn't matter because it moves away from what faith initially is, which is service. Who cares about interfaith if it doesn't serve anyone? If it doesn't serve the people? It doesn't matter if you're a Jew, a Christian, or Muslim. If you walk out of your establishment, you look to the side and you see hungry children. And somehow that doesn't make an imprint on your heart. Not to the point where you say, let's have a food drive, but to the point you go back in your house and you find food in your cupboards, or you cook food and you give it to the person who's hungry. This is the aspect of faith. Interfaith has been doing this weird dance for a lot of years. And it's funny because it really mirrors trying to figure out what side of the argument you're going to be on. And not being able to stand pat on religious tradition and creedal statements that make you a Muslim, that make you a Jew, that make you a Christian. We've now become this whole thing where children leave the church because we don't stand for anything. Interfaith, intrafaith, it doesn't matter, brothers and sisters. It is in one large regard. In our tradition, what does the Quran and Sunnah say? What is the practice of our prophet? What does that book say? A very calm and relatable argument. And in Christianity, what does the Bible say? In Judaism, what does the Talmud say? What does the Torah say? And, brothers and sisters, being able to be self-critical and say, this is where I got off the path. This is where I made a mistake. This is me standing up going, I made a mistake, and turn around to the people behind you and go, don't follow me. I made a mistake. We don't have that. And so the scope of interfaith in America is that it's in trouble. As I reimagine interfaith, I see less and less of it, less and less of it, less and less of it. To make the argument that white children are under attack is to basically say that Black and Latino children don't exist. To create an argument for one group and not the other group is exactly what critical race theory is. You just prove a very, very valid theory. That why would you have something from one group that's automatically invisible and viscerally disadvantageous to the other group? Understand, I know one would say these people are very, very crafty. But no, brothers and sisters, sad to say, like taking your hat and put it over your heart, these people are very, very dumb. I can't tell you anything else other than the truth. My brother said red state's obsession with critical race theory is more fake news for a place to direct the hate. You are 100% right. Because you don't know, and I'm going to show you about a zero-sum relationship with white America and white supremacy. How many Black people do you have going out here going, critical race theory is disadvantageous to Black people? It's not disadvantageous to Black people. It's a theory. It's a theory. It's not critical race law. It's based on critical law. It's critical race theories based on critical law. And these people have made it, oh my gosh, something above Christian tradition, Christian foundation. They have a Muslim woman in the interview talking about, I don't want my baby to feel like they're inferior because they're Black. Shut up! They don't feel inferior because they're Black. They feel inferior because they see you out there in front of people embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing the kids. White folks, stop embarrassing these little white kids. They're already confused. And I would say to anybody who's not Black in this situation, who's not a minority in this situation, to hold fast to whatever it is that you believe in your faith, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Islam, whatever it is, hold on to it that's in your faith, because that's the closest thing you're going to get to a solution. The books are perfect, the people are not. Pray, not just for God, but pray for the people who think they follow God. That's all I'm going to say about interfaith. I'm tired. Let's get to our sponsors. I want to give a shout out to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Call 1-886-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. Or, like I said, you can go, you can call, you can do what you want to do. You can go old school, go to the website, or call. Let's also give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School. You can go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. And you can check out some of the offerings. You have people interested in doctoral programs. You have people interested in chaplaincy programs, leadership, Islamic leadership studies. I encourage everybody to go there. Here's the thing. I also encourage people who are not Muslim to go. Because what I learned as part of Islamic education, which was beautiful, was that, hey, it reminded me that the world is not Muslim. It's not 100% Muslim, not 100% Christian. It is the idea that you owe to the overall body that you serve, the people that you serve, the kids that you serve, that while you're a Muslim, it is important to talk about history as a whole, to develop a curriculum that is balanced, fair, engaging, and evolves for the children. More than I can say these people talking about critical race theory, and more than I can say about interfaith these days. Brothers and sisters, that's the show. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Reimagining Faith in America on a Thursday. There you are. I know you're looking at your screen going, that's a good looking black man. And you're right. I'm Preacher Moss, and you're not. Today I want to talk about Olive Branch Muslim Family Services, better known as the people who help people. And I need you to help the people who help people so they can continue to, you guess it, help people. Get it? Got it? Good. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Graphic now.